financial institutions continue to extract the wealth. Their first tool is the middle class as a shock absorber, right? The United States strategically uses the middle class to absorb shocks to protect the wealthy while pacifying the poor, right? But here's why the middle class is the ultimate shield. They bear the weight of financial crises, right? So when an economy crashes, bailouts will go to corporations and the bill is paid by the middle class through taxes, job losses, or home foreclosures, right? They also absorb inflation. Wages stagnate, but the cost of living rises, ensuring wealth stays concentrated at the top. They're also comfortable enough to prevent rebellion, right? Unlike the working class, they are given just enough wealth to believe in the system. They're also used as an example to discredit worker revolts, right? If you worked hard, you'd be middle class too, right? Even though upward mobility is nearly dead. The middle class exists to stabilize capitalism, right? So anytime that you hear somebody advocating for its continued existence, that's what you're advocating to see. Because as covered before, the middle class was created, right, to make a certain group, right, stabilize capitalism, right? And now they're failing. So the middle class exists to stabilize, not to benefit. It's not to benefit from capitalism, to uphold. If the middle class collapses completely, the United States will have no buffer between the elite and the revolution, right? But here's their second tool, the private sovereigns, right? They're the policy manipulators. So they're the corporations, the banks, the billionaires. They dictate U.S. policy, not elected officials, right? Here's how they work. They own politicians. They control global trade and finance systems. They direct foreign policy for profit. They suppress potential competitors, right? Any nation attempting economic independence like Cuba, Venezuela, Libya is crushed, right? The United States government is not separate from corporations. It is a managerial branch of them. So when people say the government should do something, they forget that the government is a corporate tool, right? Like you have to understand the connection. Next thing is that there are state-backed companies that are economic warfare units, right? Some companies don't just seek profit, they exist to expand U.S. power. So these are like the big pharma groups, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citadel, right? They control financial crisis, bailouts, economic collapse, all to favor the elite, right? And Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft all conduct mass surveillance, data control, and algorithmic social engineering, right? ExxonMobil and Chevron ensure oil remains a United States control global currency, right? These companies are not independent. They function as arms of the United States economic empire, right? They create crises, they profit from them, they ensure the cycle repeats, right? But then also there's fake Cold Wars, right? To manufacture fear, to expand power. The Cold War, the war on terror, today's China threat will all serve the same purpose, keeping the population in fear while securing corporate profits. That's all it is, right? Here's how fake conflict strengthen U.S. control, right? The Cold War, 1947 and 1991, was just defense spending justification, used to justify the military-industrial complex, used to create a surveillance state that caused coin to come into existence, right? Ended when it was no longer profitable. Didn't end when the beef was over. Ended when it was no longer profitable, right? Soviet elites joined global capitalism instead, right? War on terror, right? That created the Patriot Act, total surveillance, right? Justified privatization of war, Blackwater, Halliburton, right? And also used to secure oil reserves in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Even the China-U.S. conflict, right, is economic manipulation. It's to keep the United States corporate power centralized, right? It's also to allow justification for tech companies, right? We need to beat China in AI, right? It also creates fake unity between corporations and the public. Patriotic capitalism, you're nuts, right? As a shield for elite dominance. The United States needs constant existential threats to keep its military and corporate empire running, right? Every time a war ends, a new enemy is created, because without war, the system collapses, right? But there's also the information warfare. So this is how the control over information is the most powerful weapon in the United States arsenal, right? They use AI and social media manipulation. Algorithms control what people see, ensuring dissent is suppressed, right? News media is a corporate tool, corporate propaganda tool, right? Both left and right media serve different corporate factions, not the people, right? Okay, in turn, like internet surveillance and censorship, digital footprints ensure mass monitoring and easy removal of threat. Deepfake and AI control narrative wars, right? The rise of deepfake media will ensure that the truth is dictated, not discovered, right? So if the United States controls information, it controls reality. A population that cannot think critically will never rebel, right? But also the prison industrial complex, right? Domestic labor extraction. The United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world, not for justice, but for labor control. So the United States uses prisons for economic gain. Prison labor is corporate labor. Companies like McDonald's, Starbucks, right? Walmart use prison labor for pennies on a dollar. Mass incarceration also meant social control. Black and poor communities are disproportionately right in prison to prevent political power building. And also for-profit prisons, right, need bodies. Private prisons lobby for stricter laws to ensure endless prisoners. The prison system is not broken, right? We need to stop talking like this. It works exactly as intended, right? Prisons are modern plantations rebranded for corporate profit, right? And the military is a global resource extraction machine. The United States doesn't fight wars for democracy. We knew this, right? It fights them for corporate ownership of global resources. So here's how the military is used as an economic weapon, right? Iraq in 2003 secure oil for Western companies, right? Afghanistan in 2001 to 2021 secure opium fields and rare minerals. They was getting it from somewhere. Libya 2011 stopped Gaddafi from creating an African gold-backed currency that would threaten the dollar, right? And then Venezuela and Cuba is the ongoing situation. Economic sanctions prevent independent economic models, right? The United States military is an armed wing of the corporate elite. It doesn't defend America, it defends profits from those who own America. Right, so here's the final verdict. The United States maintains power through a combination of financial, military, digital, and psychological warfare. There's two defensive shields. The middle class is a shock absorber, and the private sovereigns is policy defenders, right? When you hear Elon defend policy, right? When the middle class gets hit by a crisis, those are the two shields, right? The weapons of control are state-backed corporations, economic warfare units, fake Cold Wars, perpetual fear, justified oppression, digital feudalism, algorithmic thought control, prison industrial complex, modern-day slave labor, in the military, global resource theft for corporations. The United States isn't just a company, right? It isn't just a country, but it is a corporate military empire, right? I say isn't just a company. I mean, they all work. They all work there. Right? If a person doesn't see the system for what it is, they'll never escape it, right? So here's my final thought. The United States does not defend democracy. It defends the wealth and power of its elite rulers, right? Of its corporate rulers. Every war, every crisis, every policy is designed for their benefit. It's just not yours. So